Hey folks, welcome back to the Fisherman's Guide. Got a familiar face from last season here with us today, Captain Bubby Lamy of In-N-Out Charters. Last year, we fished the south side of New Orleans. Now we're fishing between New Orleans and Slidell in Lake Pontchartrain. Everybody's heard about it. Everybody wants to fish it. We're on these trussels in search of speckled trout. Y'all hang out.
The Fisherman's Guide presented by the Hollywood Casino. Today's episode brought to you by Ocean Marine, Sportsman's Boats, Sport Trail Trailers, Sound Waves Marine Outfitters, Past Purchasing, Crystal Seas, The Spine Institute, Hook, Gulf Coast Cuisine, Egret Baits, Matrix Shad, Cedar Swamp Outfitters, Pure Fishing, Accounting Solutions for the Small Business, Parker Poles, Mojo, Salt Life Optics.
Captain Bubby Lamy is a great charter captain, especially on Lake Pontchartrain and the surrounding areas. Like most of us though, he guides in several different areas. We originally met while we were both guiding for the Oilman's Rodeo out of Dularge, Louisiana. We've managed to stay in contact and we've become pretty good friends.
Today, out here on the trestle, we're fishing on the west side of the bridge. The tide, we're waiting on the tide to switch. Typically when you fish this bridge, you want to fish the side of the bridge where the tide's coming at you. We're fishing out of a boat with a T-top, which makes it hard to get underneath the trestle, so you kind of pick a side. We know the tide's going to swap, and that's why we're fishing on the west side of the bridge today.
Fish on.
Good catch.
He's a little guy. Good way to start the day. Speckled trout, Lake Pontchartrain, fishing the bridge. We're gonna find this one's mama here in a few minutes. Now, Bubby, you know, there's a lot of people that ask about Lake Pontchartrain, and you always hear about the trussels and the bridges over here. What would you tell that beginner fisherman that wants to come over here and just check it out?
You know, the biggest thing I think most people get messed up on when they hear the stories about Lake Pontchartrain, the trestle, the causeway, is they think that those fish are here all year round, and those fish aren't here all year round, you know. You want to get them in the spring and the fall runs. Right now, those trout are on the move, so they're coming out of the marshes, and they get over here, and what ends up holding those fish to the bridge is the bait. The bait's able to hide and swim in between the pilings and stuff, and so when that tide flows one way or the other, those fish can sit on right on the inside of the pilings and wait for the bait to get washed through. You know, I just think for a beginner fisherman, that's when you need to pick when you want to come out here and try it, is you want to come fall, spring. April, May, and then October, November.
Now that October, November time frame, that's what y'all call your World Series of speckled trout.
That's right,
That's whenever you catch the big ones.
Yes, and the reason it got that name is because they typically show up around the World Series.
That's it. You've heard us say it 1,000 times before, and you'll probably hear me say it 1,000 times again. Structure, structure, structure. You gotta have structure most of the time to catch fish. Now, it's not always in the form of this bridge. It could just be a small hump on the bottom. But obviously here in Lake Pontchartrain, they've got all these bridges with all these pilings, and it holds a lot of bait. And it's a trickle-down effect. If there's plankton growing on that bridge for the bait to eat, the bigger fish are gonna come in to eat that bait. So find your structure, work it, pay attention to the tide. You generally want to be on the down current side, whichever tide you have, and stick around, stay with it. The fish are going to show up sooner or later. Captain Bubby's doing his part. Come on here.
Feels like an all right fish.
There you go. I'll take that. Now, one of the things we did here, the tide hadn't turned around quite as quick as we thought it would, so we swapped sides. Yeah, we'll put him in the box back there. So we swapped sides of the bridges here to where we're on the down current side, and we started picking up a few more fish. Fish on. Good fish. I'll take those. Got a little Lake Pontchartrain speckled beauty. Y'all stick around. We'll be right back after this.
It's the one and only Players Club for the Mississippi Gulf Coast and beyond. The all-new Marquee Rewards at Hollywood Casino and Boomtown Casino. Now with even more benefits that you can take with you to exciting destinations like Chicago and fabulous Las Vegas. It's the all-new Marquee Rewards, exclusively at Hollywood Casino Gulf Coast and Boomtown Casino Biloxi.
Hey, I'm Captain Ronnie Daniels with Fisherman's Guide. Today we're here at Cedar Swamp. This is a store that carries what catches fish. For your next outing, freshwater, saltwater, inshore, or offshore, Cedar Swamp's got the gear that works.
For over 80 years, serious anglers have depended on Penn. You can too. When you get that bite of a lifetime, be confident knowing that Penn is with you. Penn, let the battle begin.
When it comes to boating, most folks want more features for less cost. And that's what Sportsman Boats is all about. With yacht caliber components, the Sportsman Boats lineup offers bay boats, center consoles, plus tournament class and open cockpit models. To find the perfect fishing machine that puts your family first, contact your nearest Sportsman Boats dealer and discover that with a Sportsman Boat, you can have it all.
The thing about fishing over there at the bridges is those pilings all cause little eddies behind them when the tide's moving, whether it's moving in or moving out. And those fish are able to get in those areas and sit and wait for bait. It's kind of an ambush spot. And the bait like to stay over there because that is a structure that they can kind of try to get around to avoid from getting eaten. And I think that because of the bait being there, that's what holds those fish, you know, to the bridges. Shrimp versus plastic, here we go. You're right, right?
Nice little Lake Pontchartrain speckled trout. The bite's getting kind of slow. The tide's slowing down a little bit, so things slowed down. So I swapped over to live bait, and it worked on this guy. Let's see if we can get us another one. So far, it's been a real, that last fish was a really subtle hit. Just a little thump, and then my line went slack. He just barely picked it up and started coming towards the boat. So, you know, fishing this deep water, you really got to pay attention. There we go. Nice little speckled trout. Just about perfect frying size. We're gonna keep it up. Pro tips by the Fisherman's Guide again this week. Today we got Brad Parker back out here with us. Parker's Poles. He builds some incredible rods. And I tell you what, folks, I think I know a lot about fishing, but this guy makes me feel like a rookie whenever we start talking about rods, components, and action versus power. That's what we're going to talk about today, right?
Yes, sir. A lot of the confusion with most anglers is the power versus the action of the rod. Your power is your light, your medium light, your heavy. And all that has to do with is your line rating and your lure rating. The actual power, you're extra fast, you're moderate. It has to do with the flexibility of the rod. Take a fast, the top 1/3 of the rod actually bends versus a moderate where half of the rod bends. For your topwater, most people want a fast action, whereas for a jig, you want a moderate fast, halfway in between that half and 1/3 of the tip of the rod bended.
Folks, y'all don't forget to check us out on Facebook. We've got more of these great pro tips, and also if you want to see the recipe from today's show, we'll have that on Facebook as well. Make sure you give us a like while you're there. We love to show us support. We'll see you again next week, The Fisherman's Guide.
Yeah, this morning we jumped in a boat. We left from Wrigley's bait shop. Before we left, we stopped here and we picked up some live shrimp. There's one of the marinas that they often carry large numbers of live bait. So we grabbed a few live bait and we went out to the bridge. We threw a little bit of live bait and we threw a little bit of plastic. Feels like a decent fish. Nice little speckled trout.
Nice fish. And Bubby on the board again.
Put him in the box.
Size and creel limits for speckled trout vary all across the northern Gulf Coast. Here in Louisiana, where we're fishing today, 12-inch minimum, 25 fish per person per day. The state record was set all the way back in 1950 in Lake Hermitage with a 12.38-pound speckled trout. You know, Bubby, Lake Pontchartrain is a huge body of water, and there's a lot of places that you can launch from and all of that, but I always use Wrigley's Marina, and I know you do too. It seems to be one of the best in the area, isn't it?
It really is. You know, they hold bait more so than any other marina that's close to here, and they're always good shrimp that they carry.
They've always been really friendly, great staff, get you in and out of there real quick, very helpful in the mornings and in the afternoon.
Yep, that's one thing about that marina. You don't have to wait for a person to get there. They're there and ready to go.
Yep.
Fresh seafood has been a Gulf Coast tradition for centuries. Today, Pass Purchasing is the only open-air seafood market in Mississippi, bringing a variety of locally caught and gourmet boat-fresh seafood to families and businesses of the Gulf Coast. Pass Purchasing is also a fuel dock and an ice plant, open 7 days a week. Pass Purchasing in the Pass Christian Harbor, wholesale seafood to the public. From the Gulf to your table.
Hey, I'm Captain Ronnie Daniels with Fisherman's Guide. Today we're here at Cedar Swamp. This is a store that carries what catches fish. For your next outing, freshwater, saltwater, inshore, or offshore, Cedar Swamp's got the gear that works.
For over 80 years, serious anglers have depended on Penn. You can too. When you get that bite of a lifetime, be confident knowing that Penn is with you. Penn, let the battle begin.
When it comes to boating, most folks want more features for less cost. And that's what Sportsman Boats is all about. With yacht caliber components, the Sportsman Boats lineup offers bay boats, center consoles, plus tournament class and open cockpit models. To find the perfect fishing machine that puts your family first, contact your nearest Sportsman Boats dealer and discover that with a Sportsman Boat, you can have it all.
When I was a little boy, I thought my dad could do just about anything. So it was really hard watching severe back pain take its toll. You know, he's just not the same anymore. Thanks to VaxD, my kids think their granddad can do just about anything.
VaxD, helping people get back to life.
When fishing around structures such as the bridges, first thing you have to consider is clearance. Obviously we have a T-top, so I have to make sure that that T-top is going to clear the underside of that bridge whenever we're going through. I also have to keep in mind whether or not I have my antenna up or rods in the rod holders. Feels like a little better one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh! Grab him with your hand. Dude, I'm just saying, it happens, right?
It happens to the best of us. That was
I'm
one of the better
because
fish
it happened
of the
to
day.
you and not me.
You see what happened there? Captain Bubby didn't want me to get that fish in, so he stood to where I couldn't swing it in the boat.
You like that tactic?
You gotta watch these Louisiana guys, I tell you. You know, Bubby, I know we talked about it earlier, but it's the same at home where I fish as it is over here. Springtime pattern, the main thing to remember is don't get frustrated, because it's really a here today and gone tomorrow type thing.
Yeah, that's true, as we've seen today. You know, the last 2 days I fished and caught some really good fish. We were using both, same thing we're using today, plastic, live shrimp. And today it's just a little bit slower, you know, for whatever reason. But like you said, that's springtime fishing.
These fish are in between fall pattern and summer pattern. They're on the move, they're constantly moving, so you just gotta stick and move. You gotta keep moving. We've made 10, 11 stops along these bridges today.
Yeah.
And we found a few fish here and there, but you just gotta stay after it and not get frustrated.
Yeah, you know, I think that's what a lot of people do often is some people die in one spot and you have to move around. Now, I will tell you this, never leave fish to go find fish.
No.
But if you're not catching, man, you know, it could be 20 yards down or 30 yards down here or there. That makes all the difference in the world.
You don't have to pick up and run miles. It could, just a quarter of a mile.
That's right,
Or less. Stay versatile, move around, and don't get frustrated in the spring because it can be a very big payoff, but you gotta work for it to find it.
It's the one and only Players Club for the Mississippi Gulf Coast and beyond. The all-new Marquee Rewards at Hollywood Casino and Boomtown Casino. Now with even more benefits that you can take with you to exciting destinations like Chicago and fabulous Las Vegas. It's the all-new Marquee Rewards, exclusively at Hollywood Casino Gulf Coast and Boomtown Casino Biloxi.
Fresh seafood has been a Gulf Coast tradition for centuries. Today, Pass Purchasing is the only open-air seafood market in Mississippi, bringing a variety of locally caught and gourmet boat-fresh seafood to families and businesses of the Gulf Coast. Pass Purchasing is also a fuel dock and an ice plant, open 7 days a week. Pass Purchasing in the Pass Christian Harbor, wholesale seafood to the public. From the Gulf to your table.
When I was a little boy, I thought my dad could do just about anything. So it was really hard watching severe back pain take its toll. You know, he's just not the same anymore. Thanks to VaxD, my kids think their granddad can do just about anything.
VaxD, helping people get back to life.
There we go, a little speckled trout.
Seemed like he hit it pretty good, huh?
Yeah, he hit it good. He had a lot of heart. Well, fella, boy, I'm gonna tell you what, a UV matrix shad, David's custom jig head, that trout smacked it. All right, so fishing on this bridge today, we've been using soft plastics. We're 3/8 ounce jig head, matrix shad. We've thrown a lot of different colors, and there's a couple techniques. One that has become popular over here, everybody calls it the Pontchartrain pop, and it's a really aggressive, fast pop like this. And what that does is it really bounces that bait. Bounce it up high, let it fall back down and sit. Those fish weren't responding to it real well, so I started slowing mine down, and now we're just barely hopping it across that bottom and then let it sit. You gotta change things up, you gotta be versatile in order to be successful. If they're not biting on one way, change it up and try it a different way, and that's what happened here, and we started picking up some more fish. Both of us started doing the same retrieve, which was a lot slower and a lot less aggressive, and it triggered the bite.
Fish on. There we go. Let me stand like this so Ronnie can't knock my fish off. Another speckled trout. These spring fish are moving in. You can see some of these fish that we're catching, they're not too big, but the big ones are gonna come. But until
and you'll
then,
notice they're fat. These fish are healthy. They're eating a lot in the spring.
yeah, that's a solid little short fish right there.
There we go.
There we go.
Speckled trout. Little Lake Pontchartrain beauty there. Just about the right size. We're gonna throw this one in the box. Y'all stick around and see what Chef Corey has to do with this.
Hey guys, Chef Corey Hudson here again at Hook Gulf Coast Cuisine. Today we're going to be doing a Parmesan crusted speckled trout. This dish is actually Captain Ronnie's wife's favorite dish when she comes in, believe it or not being seafood. But it's basically a panko and Parmesan blend that we're going to put in a food processor. You take 1 cup of panko breadcrumbs, about a half a cup of Parmesan cheese, you blend it together till it gets nice and fine. We dredge our speckled trout and seasoned white flour into the egg again, and we're gonna batter it in the Parmesan crust. Now before you batter this fish with your panko Parmesan blend, you're gonna wanna put it through some seasoned white flour. Salt and pepper is fine, just dredge it in the white flour before you put it into the eggs. That is really gonna help the flavor in your speckled trout, your chicken, whatever you're gonna use. Every little step counts when you do a dish like this. But this dish is more about the sauce. It's a citrus beurre blanc. That's French for white butter sauce. There's a couple different ways you can make it. If you're gonna make it for a restaurant, for service, you kind of wanna bulk it up a little bit, give it more volume. So there's only a few ingredients. We have 1 shallot that's finely diced, 1 cup of white wine, about 1/3 of a cup of lemon juice. What we do, we reduce that till almost all the liquid is gone. There's a term for that, it's just French, it's au sec. So once all that liquid is gone, maybe about a tablespoon left, we're gonna put in about a cup of heavy cream. And we're gonna reduce that as well. Once that reduces by about half, it's gonna thicken up a little bit, and we're gonna put about 2 sticks of softened butter. We gotta turn the heat off, and then we're gonna add the butter, because if not, the sauce will separate and it'll break and it just will not turn out the way you want it to go. Now when you reduce a sauce with white wine, basically the main component you're doing, what you're trying to do is take all the alcohol out of it and just get the actual flavor of the grapes that release once you reduce it. And that's basically with anything else. Once you reduce it, you're just adding more flavor to it. And when you deglaze a pan, same thing with that. You're just bringing out all of the flavor in that actual dish. Now with speckled trout, it's obviously a fish that we use here on the show and here at the restaurant very often because it is a local fish, but it's probably one of the most flavorful fish in our backyard. It's a very delicate fish, so I wouldn't recommend grilling it. If you are gonna grill it, you're gonna wanna get your grill really hot so it doesn't really stick and fall apart. If you catch a nice 4-pounder, I mean, it's gonna be thicker and more dense like the amberjack or the snapper, so it'll be thicker and it'll hold up a little bit better. But I prefer just a nice saute, maybe even blacken it. You can fry it. It's good any way you cook it, but it's very fragile. You gotta be careful with it because it will fall apart, kind of like a flounder as well. We're gonna cook the fish in a regular frying pan with about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. We're gonna sear it on one side until it gets golden brown. We're gonna flip it over, pop it in the oven for about 5 minutes, and top it with a citrus beurre blanc. I preferably like it to go over sauteed spinach, a vegetable medley, something light, because again, with speckled trout, you don't want to kill it with anything heavy. You want to taste the fish, you want to bring out the flavor of the sauce, and this sauce really goes good with fish, chicken, really whatever you want to use it with. And this is my Parmesan crusted speckled trout.
Hey, I tell you what, I had a great time on Lake Pontchartrain today with Captain Bubby Lamy of In-N-Out Charters catching one of our favorite fish, speckled trout. Bite was a little slow, but we were persistent. We ended up finding them. Turned a slow day into a good day. You just got to stick with it. Do what you know works. Y'all be sure to tune in again next week. Check us out on the Fisherman's Guide. Between now and then, stop by the Facebook page and give us a like.
The Fisherman's Guide presented by the Hollywood Casino. Today's episode brought to you by Ocean Marine, Sportsman's Boats, Sport Trail Trailers, Sound Waves Marine Outfitters, Past Purchasing, Crystal Seas, The Spine Institute, Hook, Gulf Coast Cuisine, Egret Baits, Matrix Shad, Sea to Swamp Outfitters, Pure Fishing, Accounting Solutions for the Small Business, Parker Poles, Mojo, Salt Life Optics.